Starting now. Hi, everybody. My name is Alex Barrios. I'm with the IGAN Foundation of America. And every Friday during this month of Donate Life month of April, I'll be interviewing a living kidney donor, and then they'll be sharing their experiences through their process with this. And today, I'm speaking with Dianne, a living kidney donor from Maryland. Hey, Dianne, thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about what you have to share. So the floor is yours. About just kind of the first question I'll ask is, before you even started the process of donating your kidney, what did you know about kidney organ donation?
Okay, so before I started the process, I didn't know anything at all.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Go ahead, continue. So, how did you dig into getting the research and that process? Like, what were your steps?
Okay, so I had a friend who needed a kidney, and she, I was just very thoughtful about it and considering whether I would be somebody who could do that for her. And so she was a patient at Johns Hopkins, and I decided it was something that I wanted to do, and it is a process. So it took some time, and there was a lot of education, which is great.
Yeah.
I would certainly recommend that to anybody, that they just gather as much information as they can as they're going through the decision-making process.
So tell me a little bit, if you can, like how it started up until the day you had the surgery. Like, did you meet with a bunch of, like, did you meet with the whole transplant team? Did you, meet with, like, who were the kind of the folks that you met with when you were starting that process and kind of getting the blood work done and all that kind of good stuff?
Right. So the first thing is Johns Hopkins is about an hour and a half away from us. So some of the initial stuff was over the phone, getting a physical from your primary care and that type of thing. And then some testing, urinalysis, some blood testing, that kind of thing. And that was initial testing. And then after that, I met with a counselor who was able to give me a lot of the information that I didn't even think of asking.
Mm-hmm.
And so once that happened, then there was continued testing. Once they found that I was definitely a donor or could be a donor, they did testing to see if I was a match or not.
There we go. Awesome. So after all that's done and you did the donating of the kidney to your friend, what was the biggest surprise for you in donating and doing that? Anything that kind of caught you off guard, good or bad? Just to, our audience is everybody, so I'm curious to know what your thoughts are.
Right. So, I was kind of disappointed that I was not a match for her.
Right.
But I would encourage anybody who's even considering donating to not be discouraged by that if they hear they're not a match, because what it does is it opens the door for somebody you care about, or for even somebody you don't know, to get a kidney anyways, because your kidney is still needed.
Right.
So my kidney actually ended up going to Canada. There was a lady there, and her husband was donating for her. He was not a match. His kidney came back to the United States, and then it went on for, from what I understand, about 9 different people ended up benefiting.
How awesome is that?
Right, right. So again, don't be discouraged if you're not a match. You're really opening the door for so many people. So that was a little bit of a surprise initially. What's been a surprise to me since then, and keep in mind, I donated 9 years ago, was how fast I healed. And how it has not changed my life at all. There are 2 things that I do to make sure that my remaining kidney stays healthy, and I try to stay away from certain drugs and then just lead a healthy lifestyle, and there has not been any changes to my lifestyle other than that.
That's great to hear that. So I'll speak a little to my experience with my living donor, I've had mine 13 years. And so I still talk to my living donor, and she says the exact same thing that you do, that you just said, that she was so surprised that after all these years, it's 13 years for her and I, that she was able to kind of, with, still keep the lifestyle. Like, really, there was no huge change. Like, it wasn't like she got sicker or whatever the case you may throw in your head, it's
Right.
been amazing. And she's been able to, she just hiked the Grand Canyon earlier this year before all this stuff with COVID. So she has been able to kind of do some amazing things. And,
Right.
13 years later, still going strong, which is
Yep.
pretty
Absolutely.
phenomenal, which is pretty
Yeah, I
phenomenal.
ran 2 marathons after donating, so certainly there's no physical limitations whatsoever.
So, Diane, this is something that I have had conversations with different folks, and you can share your insight or not, or maybe you don't know. Like, so living donation for organs, kidney specifically, is seeming to be slowing down. Folks aren't really educated and don't know about it. So this is kind of why we're doing this platform and having this conversation. Do you have any insight or inkling on what you might think why folks are not wanting to donate? Like the numbers, the trends are showing that people aren't doing it as much. Do you have any insight or what your thoughts on that would be?
No, I really don't. It may be just lack of knowledge. It may also be, not getting the word out for the need of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's not something I could, that I could pinpoint myself.
Sure.
I just think that's what it is. And I think that doing this platform may be helpful. And if other organizations, kidney organizations, get on board then and do a platform like this, that may be helpful. Because I really think just like anything, any needs out there, whether it's hunger or whatever, it's not something that's advertised all the time. It's not like we wear a sign saying I need a kidney or
Right. Yeah.
another sign that says I might be willing to donate a kidney.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
so I think getting the word out, and this would be really helpful. This platform will be really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, I'm hoping that people will be able to watch this in years and be like, oh, I remember this webinar that I listened to, or whatever the case may be. So
Sure.
as I continue to do this, this is something that will be growing over the
Right.
year, over the months and stuff like that. Not only just doing it just specifically for Donate Life Month, but throughout the rest of the year on just days like this and having those kind of conversations. Because I think knowledge is power, right? As cliche as that may sound, like having this knowledge and having this at your fingertips and having these resources and this awareness is key, and kind of doing this. So I think it's important. Um, so here's kind of the takeaway, the last kind of question. This doesn't have to be very long. Like, so what would you tell somebody who is thinking about becoming a living kidney donor? Like you kind of alluded to it earlier, but if you can kind of give me some like words of wisdom to somebody who's like, hey, you know, if you're on the street and you're wanting to champion for somebody, be like, hey, I'm a kidney donor or an organ donor. Like, this is what I went through. What would you be your kind of like your elevator speech, or your just kind of your spiel, what you'd want to tell people about it?
Right. So first, I would say, like you said earlier, like knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
So just being aware of what it might affect. In other words, will it uh, your job, for example? At the time, I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I had great support.
There you
It was a perfect opportunity.
go. Mm-hmm.
The lady who was an altruistic donor for my friend,
Yeah.
she did work at the time, and her place of employment was extremely supportive of that. So again, just kind of know what you're doing, and think about, it's not just a physical thing as far as your health. It also is a lifestyle thing, because there is some time you need to take off, and there is some time to heal, but not much. I was in the hospital for 3 days, and the only reason I was is because I had a side effect to the anesthesia. I get migraine headaches. Other than that, I would have been out in 2 days.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
this is my surgery. Most of the surgeries now are done mostly laparoscopic with a small incision. So they're fairly simple. As soon as I got home, I was taking walks. So again, just be aware of other things other than physical.
Exactly.
And then I would say that the blessing is much greater than the gift.
Mm-hmm.
I will guarantee that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that most of the people who have donated would agree with that.
I would 1,000% agree. As somebody who is received as a recipient of a kidney, I bless you. I thank you so much for being able to, even though you didn't directly give your organ to your friend, that it started off that chain of 9 folks being affected by this. I mean, that's something that I think in our society that we're missing, that it's an amazing gift, and it keeps on giving, and is able to help, people get that second chance at life, get a chance that, like in my case, I was new to Kentucky, which is where I live, and I had I've had the opportunity to get married and have 2 children. Before that, I didn't have any opportunity for that. So
Right.
having the opportunity to um, get this second chance and be able to kind of live the best quality life that I can, and to give back, to do what I'm doing now, to have this kind of platform today, to have this conversation is what is my passion, right? It's what I want to do. I
Right.
want to make sure folks get this, out there. And even if it's one person, one more person that has the information, can make their best educated decision, talking with their family, talking with the care team for the person who needs the kidney. So that's kind of why I do what I do. And so I appreciate from the bottom of my heart and kidney that you do what you do.
Right.
It's very, very appreciative. Um, those are any last words you want to kind of say before we sign off here?
Um, I don't know. Let me think for just a
No,
second.
it's fine.
Um, well, I want to talk a bit about not being a match for my friend.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
again, if you know somebody who needs a kidney, even though you're not a match, many times you donating a kidney will guarantee a kidney for whoever it is that you know and love that needs a kidney. So she was guaranteed a kidney because I was willing to donate. I also want to talk about a little bit about the lady who received my kidney.
Yeah.
We had been in touch for quite a while after I donated. And she was just so grateful that she was able to, she was on dialysis. So there are things she could not do anymore. She couldn't take long walks with her husband. She couldn't travel. She couldn't vacation. She couldn't go to work anymore.
Right.
And now she is living a healthy life, and almost normal life. I mean, there are medications that need to be taken and that kind of thing. But she wrote me and she said, I can do all of those things now, when she couldn't before. So it's
Sure.
not just extending somebody's life, it is giving them their freedom back to enjoy those things that they're enjoying.
Yes, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yes, I definitely would agree there. Yeah, your life is definitely able to get your life back. And in my case, I was a lot younger and fresh out of college, so I, my life was in front of me. I did dialysis as well for almost 2 years
Right.
before I got my kidney transplant. So I remember being stuck on the machine and feeling really, really old, just because I was in my mid to early 20s, maybe
Right.
mid 20s, and realizing that when you're around in a dialysis center, a lot of the times, unfortunately, they're older folks, and so I was one of the youngest people on the unit when I did dialysis. And so when it's around you, you kind of you settle into this like routine. And after 18 months of doing it, I was like, I need to get my life back. My mental health, I mean, and we didn't even touch on mental health. I mean, it's
Right.
the mental health piece of it, all of it is so strong too. The physical stuff is there, don't get me wrong, but in your head, I mean, as you sit in it and you're sitting in that chair and you're just kind of like, okay, is this what my life is going to be the rest of these next 15 to 20 hours a week? This is my job. This is what I'm going to do.
Right.
I'm not going to have a family. I wasn't at the time, didn't have a family, but would I be able to? Would I be able to travel as much as I want to? Would I be able to, you know, all the questions that come about, I imagine a lot of people ask. So as a recipient, in getting a kidney, like it really made all the world a difference. And being able to, after, I'll never forget, right after my transplant, my partner took a picture of me, and she was saying, like, when you went in, you were gray and you didn't look really healthy. Like, you were surviving, but you weren't thriving, right? You were
Right.
there, but your quality of life wasn't great. And so I remember thinking how once I got the kidney, like the color came back. I was able to, like, she's like, you were glowing. And I was like, yeah. And here I am 13 years later, still having, for the most part, doing okay. I mean, I've had my blips, but I'm trying to kind of manage it the best I can, and we go from there.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one more thing I want to say is
Sure.
since the donation, about 2.5 years later, I had cancer, so I'm a cancer survivor.
Mm,
And we think about those things as we donate, or those types of things. And I was able to get the treatment I needed and beat that. And
congratulations.
donating to me had no impact on me being able to heal from that as well. So,
Great. That's great.
as people consider donating, I just again want them to consider all avenues and to know the good things that come out of it as well.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, Dianne, thank you so much for giving me these few minutes. I really look
Absolutely.
forward to, continuing this dialogue down the road. I'm here, and if anybody has any questions, continue to reach out to the IGAN Foundation, and we will be available. So I
All
appreciate
right.
it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye now.
Bye-bye now.